California's golden dream is tarnishing fast. Across the Golden State, cities that once symbolized opportunity are now watching residents flee, businesses shutter, and property values collapse, creating modern ghost towns that could signal what's coming for your community next. Is your California city hiding the same warning signs we spotted in 10 once thriving communities? From Silicon Valley's backyard to agricultural heartlands, entire municipalities are quietly emptying out as a perfect storm of economic forces tears through neighborhoods that were booming just 3 years ago. Over 400,000 Californians packed up and left the state in 2024 alone. But the real story isn't who's leaving, it's which cities they're abandoning and why. These aren't the usual suspects of rural decline or post-industrial decay. We're talking about places that should be thriving, communities with every advantage California offers. Yet they're displaying the exact same patterns we saw before major urban collapses in the past. Could your neighborhood be developing the same cracks beneath its surface? Let's start with number 10, where a Central Valley city once known for its agricultural prosperity is now bleeding residents faster than anywhere else in the region. Stockton. Stockton was supposed to be California's comeback story. After emerging from municipal bankruptcy in 2015, this Central Valley agricultural hub seemed poised for revival with affordable housing, strategic location, and growing logistics infrastructure. But in 2025, Stockton is hemorrhaging residents at an alarming rate that's turning recovery into retreat. The population exodus is staggering. An 8.3% decline since 2020 makes Stockton the fastest shrinking city in the Central Valley, with families abandoning neighborhoods faster than the city can address the underlying problems driving them away. The housing market collapse tells the brutal story in numbers. Median home prices have plummeted 22% from $485,000 to $378,000 in just 3 years. These aren't minor market corrections. They're signs of fundamental economic distress that's making homeowners flee before values drop further. Business closures have accelerated 35% in the past 2 years as crime rates spike and foot traffic disappears. When you walk through downtown Stockton, you'll see the evidence everywhere. Shuttered storefronts, empty parking lots, and for lease signs that stay up for months without attracting tenants. The crime surge is driving the final exodus. Families who might tolerate economic hardship won't risk their safety for affordable housing. Rising violent crime rates are pushing the last stable residents towards Sacramento, Modesto, anywhere that feels safer for their children. While Stockton battles inland economic pressures, coastal cities face different but equally destructive forces. Barstow. Barstow sits at the crossroads of nowhere, and that used to be exactly what made it valuable. For decades, this Mojave Desert city thrived as truckers and travelers stopped to fuel up, eat, and rest on their journeys between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. But in 2025, those crossroads are leading to a dead end. The population has crashed 12% as the trucking industry fundamentally shifts its routes. Why? Electric vehicle charging infrastructure, new logistics hubs, and automated freight systems are bypassing Barstow entirely. The big rigs that once lined truck stops now take different corridors, leaving this desert town stranded. Drive down Main Street and the evidence hits you immediately. The vacancy rate has exploded to 47%, turning the once busy commercial strip into a ghost town of shuttered diners, closed motels, and empty gas stations. These aren't just businesses struggling, they're entire industries that built this city simply vanishing. The human cost is staggering. School enrollment has plummeted 18%, forcing district officials to consolidate 3 elementary schools into 1. When you're closing schools in a community, you're watching its future literally shrink before your eyes. Water scarcity is delivering the final blow. With the Colorado River allocation cuts and depleted groundwater, new development has essentially stopped. No water means no growth, and without growth, there's no economic recovery in sight. Barstow's desert isolation once made it essential, but now it's just isolated. From desert struggles to Central Valley agricultural decline, California's inland cities share similar warning signs. Modesto. Modesto was built on almonds, peaches, and the promise that hard work in California's agricultural heartland would always pay off. This Central Valley powerhouse once turned crops into careers and farms into fortune. But now it's watching both its economy and its young people disappear at an alarming rate. The manufacturing sector that processed all those agricultural goods has been gutted. Jobs have declined 28% since 2022 as food processing plants automate operations or relocate to cheaper states entirely. These weren't minimum wage positions. Many paid $50,000 to $60,000 annually with benefits that supported middle-class families for generations. But here's the real warning sign. The young adult population aged 18 to 34 has decreased 15% in just 3 years. When your future workforce abandons ship, you're not just losing people, you're losing hope. College graduates are fleeing to Sacramento, San Francisco, anywhere that offers career opportunities beyond seasonal farm work. You can see the economic carnage in downtown Modesto, where ambitious revitalization projects sit abandoned mid-construction. Half-built mixed-use developments and stalled infrastructure improvements dot the landscape like broken promises. City officials simply ran out of funding as tax revenues collapsed. The foreclosure crisis tells the most devastating story. Rates have tripled compared to the state average, as families who bought homes during the pandemic boom now find themselves underwater on mortgages they can't afford. While agricultural cities struggle with economic shifts, former boom towns face their own unique challenges. Vallejo. Vallejo should be thriving. Sitting just 30 miles from San Francisco, with direct ferry access to some of the world's highest-paying jobs, this former naval city seemed perfectly positioned to ride the Bay Area's economic wave. Instead, it's sinking faster than most inland communities, with none of the geographic advantages. The ferry system that once made Vallejo a viable bedroom community has collapsed. Readership to San Francisco has plummeted 41% since the pandemic, as remote work eliminated the need for costly, time-consuming commutes. Those ferry tickets weren't cheap. Many workers were spending over $400 monthly just to get to their jobs. Without those commuter dollars flowing through the local economy, Vallejo's budget has imploded. The city now faces a $12 million annual deficit with no clear path to balance. Essential services are being cut, infrastructure projects canceled, and city workers laid off in waves. The retail apocalypse tells the story visibly. Main corridors show vacancy rates exceeding 38%, with once busy shopping centers now resembling abandoned strip malls. When you can't keep stores open in a Bay Area city, something fundamental is broken. Mare Island, the massive former naval shipyard that was supposed to anchor Vallejo's economic renaissance, sits largely empty with redevelopment plans stalled indefinitely. Decades of promises and millions in planning have produced little more than vacant buildings and broken dreams. Even cities with Bay Area connections are struggling, but some face the additional burden of environmental disasters. Paradise. Paradise was supposed to rise from the ashes. 7 years after the devastating Camp Fire wiped this mountain community off the map, killing 85 people and destroying nearly 19,000 structures, the rebuild should be well underway. Instead, Paradise is becoming a textbook case of how natural disasters can create permanent ghost towns. The population numbers tell a heartbreaking story. Despite years of recovery efforts and millions in aid, Paradise remains 65% below its pre-fire levels. Of the 27,000 residents who once called this place home, fewer than 9,000 have returned. Those who stayed are aging in place while younger families have given up and moved on. The insurance crisis has made rebuilding nearly impossible. Premiums have skyrocketed 78% for the few companies still willing to write policies in high-risk fire zones. Many survivors who want to rebuild simply can't afford the $10,000 to $15,000 annual insurance bills required by mortgage lenders. Building permits paint an even grimmer picture. Reconstruction permits are down 52% from 2023 peaks as both money and motivation run out. Essential services remain crippled. The town operates with one small medical clinic instead of the hospital it once had, and retail options are virtually non-existent. You can drive through entire neighborhoods where scattered rebuilt homes sit like islands, surrounded by empty lots marked only by driveways leading to nowhere. While Paradise battles natural disaster recovery, other cities face man-made economic catastrophes. San Bernardino. San Bernardino was once the Inland Empire's logistics powerhouse, where massive warehouses process goods flowing from the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach to the rest of America. The city rebuilt its economy around distribution centers that promise steady blue-collar jobs for thousands. But automation has arrived with devastating efficiency. Warehouse employment has crashed 31% as robots, and AI systems replace human workers at an unprecedented pace. These weren't just entry-level positions. Many forklift operators, inventory specialists, and logistics coordinators earn $40,000 to $50,000 annually with benefits. Now those same facilities operate with skeleton crews managing automated systems. The city's financial foundation remains shaky from its municipal bankruptcy over a decade ago. Budget constraints still limit essential services, creating a downward spiral where declining tax revenues from lost jobs make recovery even harder. You can see the decay everywhere: potholed streets, understaffed departments, and deferred maintenance on public facilities. Commercial real estate values have plummeted 19% year over year as businesses flee or downsize. Empty strip malls and vacant office buildings create an apocalyptic landscape in what should be a thriving logistics corridor. Public safety cuts have pushed police and fire response times beyond acceptable limits, making San Bernardino feel increasingly unsafe. When emergency services can't respond quickly, residents and businesses start looking elsewhere. The automation revolution that was supposed to make logistics more efficient has instead gutted the economic engine that powered this city. From inland empire struggles to central coast challenges, geography offers no protection from decline. Salinas. Salinas feeds America. This Central Coast agricultural capital produces lettuce, strawberries, and vegetables that stock grocery shelves nationwide, earning it the nickname America's Salad Bowl. But the farms that made Salinas famous are now making it uninhabitable for the very workers who harvest those crops. Agricultural employment has dropped 24% as automated harvesters and robotic systems replace human labor. These machines can pick strawberries faster and work longer hours without breaks, benefits, or housing needs. For the thousands of farm workers who built their lives around seasonal employment, there's simply nowhere else to turn. The housing crisis has reached catastrophic levels. The median rent-to-income ratio has hit an unsustainable 47%, meaning nearly half of a typical worker's income goes just to housing. When agricultural wages average $30,000 annually, but rent for a basic apartment costs $1,500 monthly, the math simply doesn't work. As economic opportunities vanish, gang violence has surged. Young people with no legitimate career prospects are increasingly drawn to illegal activities, creating a dangerous cycle that drives more families away from the community. The school district now faces an $18 million budget shortfall as enrollment drops and property tax revenues decline. 3 elementary schools closed last year, forcing longer bus rides and overcrowded classrooms for remaining students. Salinas still grows America's food, but it can no longer sustain the American workers who harvest it. While agricultural regions automate away jobs, even entertainment and tourism centers aren't immune. Palmdale. Palmdale was built on the promise of flight. This Antelope Valley suburb grew around aerospace manufacturing, where engineers and technicians built fighter jets and space shuttles while enjoying affordable suburban living just far enough from Los Angeles to escape the chaos. But those golden days of defense contracts and reasonable commutes are crashing to earth. Aerospace employment has plummeted 33% since major defense contracts were canceled or moved to other states. Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and other industry giants have downsized their Palmdale operations, eliminating thousands of high-paying engineering and manufacturing positions that once sustained entire neighborhoods. The commute situation has become unbearable. Workers still employed in Los Angeles face average travel times of 2.5 hours each way, turning an 8-hour workday into a 13-hour ordeal. Gas costs, vehicle wear, and sheer exhaustion are driving families to abandon their Palmdale homes for locations closer to their jobs. New housing construction has collapsed 61% year over year as builders recognize there's no demand for homes in a city people are fleeing. Empty lots and stalled subdivisions dot the landscape where developers once saw opportunity. Municipal services are being slashed as the tax base shrinks. Library hours cut, park maintenance deferred, and code enforcement reduced, all signs of a city in managed decline. When local government starts retreating from basic services, residents know it's time to consider their options. From suburban aerospace decline to the ultimate California economic contradiction. Bakersfield. Bakersfield represents the ultimate California economic contradiction, a city where billion-dollar oil reserves lie beneath neighborhoods that can't afford to stay. This Central Valley energy capital built its identity on black gold, creating generations of well-paid roughnecks, engineers, and support workers who turned crude oil into comfortable middle-class lives. The collapse has been swift and merciless. Oil and gas employment has crashed 42% since 2022 as California's green energy mandates and federal regulations make local drilling increasingly unprofitable. Companies are capping wells, mothballing refineries, and relocating operations to Texas, where the regulatory climate remains friendlier. These weren't minimum wage jobs disappearing. The average oil worker earned $75,000 to $90,000 annually, with benefits that supported entire families. Now those same workers are competing for retail and service positions, paying half their former salaries. The housing market reflects this economic devastation perfectly. Homes sit unsold for an average of 156 days, nearly 4 times the state average, as desperate sellers slash prices just to escape. California State University Bakersfield enrollment has dropped 19% as young people abandon ship for opportunities elsewhere. The outmigration patterns emerging here mirror the Dust Bowl exodus of the 1930s, with U-Haul trucks loaded with furniture heading east to states that still welcome fossil fuel industries. Entire neighborhoods are emptying as families chase jobs to Oklahoma, North Dakota, anywhere oil still means opportunity. But no city's decline is more shocking than our number one, where Silicon Valley wealth couldn't prevent collapse. Richmond. Richmond sits just 15 miles from San Francisco, surrounded by some of the most expensive real estate in America. Yet it's becoming California's most shocking ghost town story. This industrial city should be thriving from Bay Area spillover, but instead it's proving that proximity to wealth means nothing when your economic foundation crumbles. The Chevron refinery that employed generations of Richmond families is downsizing dramatically, eliminating 1,200 jobs in the past 18 months. These weren't just any positions. Refinery workers earned $80,000 to $120,000 annually, supporting local businesses and filling city coffers with tax revenue that's now evaporating. Environmental cleanup costs are creating a municipal budget nightmare. Decades of industrial pollution have left Richmond with a $200 million environmental remediation bill that's bankrupting city services. Streets go unrepaired, parks remain closed, and essential services operate on skeleton crews. The Port of Richmond tells an equally grim story. Cargo operations have declined 28% as shipping companies redirect traffic to Oakland and Long Beach, citing infrastructure problems and labor shortages that Richmond can no longer afford to fix. The brain drain is accelerating as educated professionals flee to cleaner, safer communities. Young families with options are abandoning Richmond for Walnut Creek, Berkeley, anywhere that doesn't carry the stigma of industrial decay and environmental contamination. Housing values are actually dropping despite Bay Area proximity, a phenomenon that should be impossible in this market. When even Silicon Valley money can't save your city, you know the decline runs deeper than economics alone.